Welcome everyone. I hope everyone is doing well so far this week. So we're going to be talking about the use of electronic consents and how we're adapting that as we move along in this interesting time. So we're going to be talking about informed consent. And first I wanted to ask, what is the purpose of obtaining legally effective consent? What purpose does that serve? You can type that in the chat panel, if you will. Why do we have to get it? Everyone's shy. So when we think about assuring participants understand what they're agreeing to, right? Thank you, Tanya. So we've got to make sure that people understand what it is they are signing up to do, right? Provide them with clear information. Here we go. Provide them with clear information, making sure they're well informed about risks and benefits and procedures, right? What procedures are going to be expected, which of those procedures are experimental in nature. Absolutely. Give them information so that they can make an informed decision about participation. Right. So we have that as forward-facing or outward-facing to our participants or potential participants so that they can gather information and do that risk-benefit comparison themselves. What we've already been doing, right? The FDA or OHRP or the investigator or the sponsor, and certainly the IRB, we're all balancing those risks and benefits. But finally, it comes down to that individual, and they say, yeah, let's do it. Okay, so we want to make sure that it is informed consent, which is different than just having someone sign a document. And now we are challenged to use electronic consent, which has its pros and cons for sure. But that obtaining legally effective consent, that process allows us all to meet our obligations. Each of us involved in clinical research is working towards protecting the public's health ultimately. You know, I like to think of it as our product is good data from protected people. So by doing that, by an investigator obtaining legally effective consent, they are not only protecting those participants, but they're meeting their obligations, their quality system obligation of ensuring that we are protecting the right, safety, and welfare of participants. Sponsors are ensuring, too, that legally effective consent was obtained. That protects participants, of course, but it also protects the integrity of their data. Ethics committees, IRBs, are established solely to support the conduct and oversight of that study as it pertains to protecting individuals. So that document is kind of like the key to unlock everything else we can do in clinical research. We look, I'm an auditor, so we look and see how all these things work together, and they are interdependent even when they appear to be independent. So we have to have legally effective consent before we can give someone any investigational product. We know that, right? We're always taught that you've got to have legally effective consent prior to any study-related procedures. But by allowing us to do that, the investigator is also meeting their regulatory obligation because they're only allowed to provide investigational product to individuals who are qualified, authorized to receive it. So they have consent and they've been assessed for eligibility criteria, which is a safety assessment. So this document is really important, and I know that goes without saying, or it should go without saying, and I am very sorry for telemarketers. But what we find is that oftentimes it's just a necessary evil, in that we will see consent is documented and we move along and we forget about how critical it is. So if we start using it in an electronic format, we have a lot of questions we have to be prepared to ask and answer. So we have to let people know, how long is this going to take? What's expected of you in the consent process? Do you have enough time? Do you have the capability to access this? And we've learned quite a bit during the pandemic in terms of who has accessibility just to internet access. And what do we do with people who can't really navigate these systems, or they have, impaired motor skills or visual issues? So how do we make sure that we're giving them everything they need to make that informed decision. So we get a sense that we have your roster here. I think many of you are working together, but our focus in this course is going to be thinking about how critical informed consent is and how we can apply it in different ways, especially given our current circumstances.